This philosophy is not merely cheap talk. It is a form of pure science applied over centuries by warriors who literally risked their lives on these principles. Musashi understood something about the human mind that modern neuroscience has only recently confirmed. Our brains need stable anchors to function at peak performance. Without these internal foundations, any external turbulence, a negative comment, a criticism at work, or a failed relationship becomes a personal tsunami that can paralyze or destroy you. In the Book of Earth, the first of his famous 5 rings, Musashi explains that people fail for the same reasons a warrior dies in combat: weak foundations, unstable mental structures, and a lack of understanding of fundamental principles. By choosing Earth as his primary symbol, he emphasized that a person should be solid, reliable, and constant, rather than being a slave to shifting moods and external circumstances. To illustrate this, consider 2 people facing the loss of a job. The first person panics and becomes paralyzed by anxiety because their identity was built on quicksand, the approval of others, and external security. The second person remains centered, analyzes the situation, and takes action, because their identity is built on solid ground rooted in self-knowledge and genuine confidence in their own capabilities. Musashi identifies 4 fundamental pillars that form this invincible foundation. The first pillar is the path of personal mastery. 5 centuries before modern psychologists, Musashi developed what we now call a growth mindset. He viewed his skills not as fixed traits, but as muscles that could be developed. This simple shift in language changing, "I am no good at this," to "I'm still not good at this," changes a person's entire relationship with failure and builds a confidence based on evidence rather than ego. The second pillar is the school of 2 worlds, known as Nitten Ichi-Ryu. This was Musashi's famous system of fighting with 2 swords simultaneously, which many thought was madness. However, the true genius was in the underlying philosophy. Life requires you to handle multiple realities at once. You must be rational yet emotional, strong yet flexible, and confident yet humble. Most people fragment themselves trying to choose between these dualities, but Musashi discovered that true mastery lies in integrating them. This creates a person who can lead with authority while following with wisdom, and stay focused on a goal while remaining open to changing direction. Finally, the third pillar is the mastery of supreme rhythm, or hyoshi. Musashi observed that everything, the heart, breathing, relationships, and business, has a rhythm. He realized that the person who can control the rhythm of a situation ultimately controls the result. By mastering these pillars, you move from being a victim of circumstance to becoming an unwavering force of nature. In combat, Miyamoto Musashi understood that victory was a foregone conclusion once he imposed his own pace upon an opponent. By disrupting an adversary's expected rhythm, he created fatal openings that guaranteed success. In the context of modern life, this translates into an extraordinary capability. Individuals who master their internal rhythm are no longer controlled by external circumstances. They do not accelerate out of panic, nor do they slow down due to laziness. Instead, they maintain a consistent internal tempo that keeps them performing at their peak regardless of the chaos surrounding them. This mastery explains why some people remain highly productive and decisive during a crisis while others lose their way. Beyond self-control, Musashi discovered that mastering your own rhythm allows you to perceive and influence the rhythm of others. You gain the power to speed up a stalled negotiation, de-escalate a heated argument, and become a stabilizing force in any environment you enter. Modern science has begun to validate these ancestral principles. A neuroscientist from Harvard University, after 2 decades of studying brain resilience, discovered that the human brain functions much like a navigation system. When you possess stable internal reference points, you can navigate any external storm. Without them, the slightest turbulence can lead to a total systemic collapse. This confirms Musashi's intuition regarding the necessity of building solid internal anchors. Furthermore, research from Stanford University into elite performance concluded that the differentiator between high achievers and ordinary people isn't luck or talent, but the ability to maintain internal standards of excellence, regardless of external variations. These individuals possess a psychological immune system and an identity that does not depend on their circumstances, a concept that aligns perfectly with the teachings found in Musashi's Dakoto and the Book of 5 Rings. Musashi structured his knowledge into 5 elements: earth, water, fire, wind, and emptiness. But he warned that without mastering the earth, the fundamentals, The other elements are useless or even dangerous. This hierarchy of development is vital. Just as seduction techniques fail without self-esteem or business strategies fail without emotional stability, skipping steps in personal growth leads to eventual ruin. However, when a solid foundation is built on rock rather than playing cards, a person can access advanced knowledge without losing themselves. Musashi was a pragmatist, so he developed a three-phase system to implement these terrestrial fundamentals in daily life. The first phase, knowing yourself as you know your sword, requires a scientific mapping of your own patterns. This involves a pattern audit of your automatic reactions, a resource inventory of your actual skills and values, and the identification of false fundamentals, those areas where your self-worth is dangerously tied to external approval or material possessions. The second phase involves establishing internal reference points that remain stable during chaos. This is achieved through the internal compass of non-negotiable principles, daily rituals of centering like meditation or journaling to maintain consistency, and the training of duality, where one learns to balance opposites, such as being simultaneously firm and compassionate, or focused and flexible. The third phase is the refinement of these foundations through gradual exposure to pressure and post-turbulence analysis. After every challenge, one must debrief to see which fundamentals held strong and which need reinforcement. Historical evidence shows that Musashi applied these principles to every facet of his life, from combat to calligraphy and sculpture. By restructuring the foundations of your existence, rather than just applying surface-level tips, you become unbreakable. While others see a crisis and panic, you see opportunity and clarity. The goal is not to avoid the storm, but to build a foundation so solid that you can dance in the rain.